Welcome back to the Ride and Laugh podcast. If you love mountain biking, you are in the right place. Picture your last really fun group ride. You're back at the parking lot. The vibes are high. Everyone's talking about bikes, tech, nutrition, progression, jumps, drops, berms. That's what we do here every week on the Ride and Laugh podcast. You love bikes. We love bikes. Let's drop in. Sage, how are you today?
Danny. Man, I got a nice message from YouTube. We are rounding out 2 years. Can you believe that? It's been 2 years.
Oh,
holy moly.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, it's
thank
been
you. Thank
yes.
you. Yeah. Thank you to everyone that's been listening and watching. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. I was thinking about this. You know, we reference so many of the past podcasts.
Yeah.
Because there's so many like bits that we've kind of like, you know, they'll stick around for 2 or 3 pods and then, you know, kind of like cycle through. And a lot of times we'll reference these older bits because they're still funny.
Yeah.
And anyone that's been listening knows, but at the same time, we're growing. You know, we're a rapidly growing podcast. So there's a lot of new people that are just like tuning in probably to the latest episode. So, you know, for anyone, if you're not understanding the references and you're enjoying the pod, right, go back and listen.
Hey,
that's the only way.
That's the only way. Yes.
Maybe, yeah. Unless someone wants to put together a cheat sheet, you know, of all the, you know, here's what you need to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun being in on the joke. Yeah. You know, it's fun being in on the joke when we reference it and everything like that. So if you're new to the podcast, welcome. Thank you. And also you're welcome because, you know, you're in for quite the treat. Anyone that hasn't yet, make sure that you rate and subscribe, give us 5 stars and all that good stuff. And leave comments at rideandlaugh1@gmail.com if you have anything that you want, anything long form. And man, I know that it's probably a good thing that you're still not riding due to the weather, because I have so much to talk about. And our feedback and comments from the last podcast and the emails we're getting is just so good. Yeah. And I have so much to talk about that I don't think there's any room for you. Frankly.
Yes.
If you had a couple good rides, like I'm like, sorry, dude. I don't have room for it. You know, I don't know what to bump here.
That's all good. It's all good. We're going with the flow. Going with the flow.
Everything happens for us.
That's right.
And including you not riding. No, jokes aside, we would absolutely find that we have plenty of time to talk about all the Stoke.
You want to hear something crazy? I have not ridden in so long that my calluses are gone. What?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh, feels good. It feels good.
That our callus conversation came up because I took the 2-week break or the 2.5-week break, and I noticed my calluses starting to go away.
Yeah. And
that was what brought up the callus conversation, where we learned that you were actually slicing them off and keeping them in a jar. Speaking of a ride and laugh
bits,
older joke. Yeah. That was a good one. That was a good one. There was a lot of fun that came out of that one.
Yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, my hands are smooth. So this is going to be a painful start whenever I start riding again to build those suckers back up.
Yeah, I'll be curious to hear about that. We're going to jump into the comments pretty quickly, and then we're going to see how much time we have for some of these other topics that I would love to talk about and share with everyone. But before we do that, I want to give an update on a suggestion that you made on our handlebar width. Well, we were talking about the proper handlebar width and how to figure it out. And I was saying that if you use the calculators that I found online, and if I use the push-up test, that my handlebar width would be well over 800 millimeters.
That's right. Yeah.
And some people commented in or wrote in on the Gmail saying that, like, I think 820 is as big as it really gets, but I didn't get the feeling that anyone was really using that. Yeah. And your suggestion was look at Benoit, or Benoit, as I call him, the professional racers, Benoit Coulanges. Why am I saying the last name? Everyone knew who I was talking about. Why am I trying to say his last name? Why am I doing this? I'm terrible at French. Do you know how to say it?
Coulanges. You had it right.
There's an S on the end.
Yeah.
No, but there's an S at the end.
Yeah. Coulanges. No, the S doesn't, come on. It's French, bud. Yeah.
They're throwing
out letters and nothing.
OIT is oit. Okay. In English, that's oit. Benoit.
Benoit.
But Benoit is a tall, lanky shredder, super fast, amazing downhiller.
So good.
And so I did a little bit of searching, and this is 2020, the most recent I could find. But per Pink Bike, he runs handlebars at their full 800 millimeter width, paired with a modern cockpit setup. It says so. I just thought that was really interesting. That here's a tall guy, he's running the 800. I don't think I'm going to go any wider than that.
Yeah, I think that's the smart move. And if you're modeling yourself after Benoit, I mean, that's a pretty good start, my friend. You can't lose.
Yeah, that's certainly someone to emulate. Of course, he's racing more downhill, whereas I'm trail riding, so I'm climbing as well. I'm doing downhill. You always have to take context, into consideration. Something that I thought was interesting, I was talking to, and I'll get more into this later if I can, but I was talking to Tristan at Ride Dialed. Yeah. And I ride a large pivot Firebird, not the extra large. And he said, I think that's a good move for you, especially here at South Mountain, the way the reach is and everything like that. Yeah. So that was good to hear. And, but he did say, I have a 42 millimeter stem on there. And he said, I think you should go to a 50 millimeter stem.
Love that.
Because I told him my riding style, that I tend to go back, he's dialing my suspension. So he said, how do you ride? I said, well, I'm trying to be centered, but I tend to go back, and I'm trying to get a little bit more forward. And then he said, because you're on the large, let's get a 50 mil stem on there. That's going to move you a little bit more forward.
Yeah. I love that. And 50 millimeters is not going to be crazy. I mean, you're not going to be out there, where it starts to get uncomfortable. I think that's a great move, Danny. It's going to pull you a little bit farther forward. It's going to stretch you out on the bike a little bit more. Solid advice.
Okay. All right. Well, now if you approve, then I'm going to go ahead and buy my new stem.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Don't kill yourself on the get a cheap one, right? And see if it works first. And then if it works, transfer that stem to something else and then buy yourself a really nice one.
What does an expensive stem versus a cheap stem? What is the difference? I mean, the stem is so small.
I mean, I don't know. There's probably some compliance built in there as well. More what kind of
dampening and that sort of
all
thing.
That stuff. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Dude, I'm like touching bars. Like I like my stem like super short. Yeah.
Yeah. And you used to always really preach that to me because that worked so well for you. But we have such different builds. Anyone that's listening to the podcast, like I'm very, very tall, very lanky, and you're proportional, but medium size. I thought proportional was being very generous, by the way. But the look on your face was like, proportional? Really? That's the best you got
that's
for me?
That's where we're going to go. Yeah.
Proportional? This Adonis of a body, and the best you can come up with is proportional?
Oh, boy.
Ladies, any ladies that are listening that are single, just know that this proportional man he's open for business. He's proportional in all the right places. Or maybe unproportional. I don't know. All right.
No comment.
Moving on. Yes. You can see us. You can see us at our riding on the YouTube. If you're a new listener, you go on the YouTube and you can see our beautiful mugs.
Proportions.
Or on the Instagram. Yes. You can see how proportional we are. All right. I got nothing but unproportional jokes coming into my mind right now. So let's move on.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. Family friendly. All right. We are reviewing episode 37. Do you need strength training for mountain bike, flat pedals, and Hawes Fest highlights?
Yes.
And man, did we get some great feedback and some and just high stoke, high level, really just awesome stuff. So everyone that commented, thank you so much. And Ride and Laugh 1 at Gmail for all our emails. Yeah. I'm gonna highlight Shelly, our great friend Shelly, talking. She made some really good points. She talked about getting kids to on mountain bike and getting them into a mountain bike team, because I was talking about Summer. My daughter Summer starting to ride a little bit, and the peer-to-peer motivation that happens, which I thought was awesome, and no one would know more about that than Shelly running the fire team for so long. She also talks about being a big advocate for weightlifting and for lifting heavy things. And if you want to make hard work of riding hurt less so that when you get injured, if you get injured, you don't have to start from square one when you're off the bike. She said, I've been in the gym on crutches, in a boot, in a sling, in a brace. And if I wasn't already comfortable with the extra work that it takes being in the gym, that maybe she wouldn't have been as comfortable starting to do that rehab the way that she did.
Yeah.
And, I got to think at the same time, this isn't a point that she made, but I've always thought if you do fall and you have more muscle, you're more resilient. You're less likely to get injured. I've always felt like the muscle is protective.
Yeah. I mean, I would certainly agree. There's certainly benefit there to being in shape for many of those reasons. And then regarding what she brought up with the kids, like, man, this is why Shelly is so awesome. I mean, not only is she bringing the female perspective, but she's also bringing the coaching perspective too. And I didn't think about that. How boys and girls can encourage each other to kind of perform. When you, even if they don't say anything and you just see one of your friends do it and just like, oh, I can do it too. If I see Jill or
Group
Ben
ride,
doing it,
group
right?
riding dynamics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So great stuff from Shelly, man.
Yeah. She also mentioned that weightlifting in men and women, but particularly coming from the women's perspective, it helps with helps avoid osteoporosis. That's stressing the bones. Yeah. So you're giving your body the signal we're lifting heavy things, and there's that stress there and holding that extra weight, and that has been shown scientifically to actually trigger your bone density to increase. I know because talking to my mom who's older and my mother-in-law, like I've done research about osteopenia, which is and osteoporosis, which is there's the beginning phases of osteoporosis and then osteoporosis where a bone could break very easily. Yeah. And one of the big suggestions is to do a little bit of weightlifting that will trigger bone density. So, men, women, girls, boys, let's do this as early as we can. And, keep that. It just shows you the cascading health effects from lifting heavy things,
Yeah. Good stuff.
We have another female perspective from great listener, Danny Wilson, who writes in that strength training was a total game changer for her. She was doing yoga and Pilates and light weights, high reps. And then she, got to a certain age and the body wasn't working for her anymore. She hired a coach for mountain bike specific strength training and nutrition. And she said, it's been an absolute game changer. And what's amazed her the most is how her upper body strength has helped with climbing. And then she's able to push into the trail to keep traction and control over the front wheel. And she never really experienced the pushing into the bike and how good that feels. And she goes on to say that maybe men don't notice that as much because they're naturally stronger, but women might have to work more at the strength. And then she kind of threw shade at me saying, especially when your muscles are long and lean and built for endurance rather than strength, which is the case for me, maybe Danny can relate.
A little proportional joke. Yeah, what's happening here? Yeah, messing with your proportions. All right then, Danny.
Yeah, I can take it. Thank you, Danny. But really, really great points. And then after I read that, I was really paying attention to how much I'm pulling on the bars in climbing, especially the technical climbing. Like there is a fair amount of upper body strength that you're using there.
Yeah. I again, we have these great listeners that are bringing different perspectives. In this case, she's bringing a female perspective, things that I wouldn't even thought about. So Danny, thank you. That was really helpful. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think I must take it for granted. Like I said, I don't feel like that part of my weightlifting helps with mountain biking, but maybe I'm just taking that for granted. Maybe I just, here's the thing, as we're getting older, I think that's probably going to play a bigger part. The more that we can stay in shape, even through lifting, it's going to help us age and continue to do this sport that we love.
It's not something I noticed. The upper body strength isn't something I noticed. I've been lifting weights since I was in high school.
Yeah.
And then through college, at one point I lifted a lot more weights when I was a younger man. Like that was my main thing. I played basketball and lifted weights.
Yeah.
Like that was the main thing. And as I've gotten older, I've moved more mountain biking and training and endurance training, but I never stopped lifting weights. And even if I didn't have availability, I'd still find a place to do push-ups and pull-ups. You know, I've always done some sort of upper body training. So I haven't noticed not being strong enough, but you know, I do see my kids riding, you know, I see Summer riding, you know, and there's the stability and the strength. Oh yeah, that would help. It would certainly help.
Yeah.
So once she pointed that out, I was paying attention. I was like, I am really pulling on these bars on some of these climbs. Like I am really pulling on these bars to increase stability or to get a lift.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point about like when we're younger, like I think I weightlifted for different reasons when I was younger. Like when I was younger, you know, I was lifting to bulk. Like I wanted to, it was like a machismo thing. Like I wanted to like be huge, you know?
Yeah.
But I noticed
we wanted to look like the Men's Health magazines.
Exactly.
You know? Like yeah.
Yeah. But like I noticed that those muscles, the reason why I stopped was I noticed that those muscles actually like prohibited like good range of motion, you know, like it was like I wanted to have more wiry muscles. And so I transitioned from like big weights, small reps, big weights, you know, maxing out all this stuff, you know, and I'm doing higher reps now with smaller weights. And that's kind of where I've ended up now. That's what I'm doing. I want to build wiry muscles. So
I remember reading a book in probably the early 2000s, and I was going to the gym and I was lifting weights all the time, and I was like interested in looking good and feeling good. But I was mountain biking, and I remember reading a book, and I have to look up what it was, but he had this line about like make your body bulletproof, use the muscle to make your body bulletproof. And I was just like, yes, that's what I want. And at that point there was a shift of like, I want functional strength.
Right.
And, you know, and that still looks good. It's just it's not the bulking up, you know, to look like the guy on the cover of the magazine anymore.
Right. Yeah. That's different things. We're moving on to different parts of our life. You know, we have different goals. Yeah.
So to that exact point that you were making, as far as what works for you, great listener, Mark, who is a very serious weightlifter and loves lifting heavy things and is a big dude. And he wrote in, after 35 years of strength training in some form or another, and almost pursuing a personal training as a profession, I've learned this. It all works. High reps, low reps, heavy, light, machines, body weight, et cetera, and you never have to marry yourself to one training style, just like you never married to one riding discipline.
Love that. Yes.
Just lift.
Yeah. It can't hurt. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. I want to highlight a awesome email we got at rideandlaugh1@gmail.com from Billy. And Billy's written us before, and always insightful and really, really cool emails. And as are all of you guys, thank you so much. He wrote in about handlebar width and suggests if you have cheaper aluminum bars, try cutting those, you know, so that you can kind of experiment with this before spending a lot of money, like you talked about with the stem. He is pro flat pedal progression. He agrees with you that he has found that to be helpful. But what really popped from me from this particular email from Billy was he's talking about a recent crash. I had a crash recently where my front tire washed out when I was going pretty fast on a downhill section. Fortunately, nothing too catastrophic happened, and I was off the bike for a week. Since then, I've noticed my front tire washing out more frequently. I realized that despite what I thought, I was not forward enough on the bike, especially in turns. In part, I think this was because since I had crashed, my body subconsciously started moving back as a fear response.
Yeah.
I bring this up because guidance from the Ride and Laugh podcast helped me process not only the crash, but diagnose the why behind it. And then he goes on to say, I've also started to be more mindful when the negativity spiral starts, and I'm able to navigate it better. My wife and friends have noticed too. So the podcast and the mindfulness messages are absolutely making a difference.
Yo, Billy, come on now. That's good stuff. That is awesome. Good stuff. Yeah. Regarding the front wheel, you know, and moving forward, I gotta tell you, it's easier said than done. It's so scary to put so much weight onto the front tire because honestly, like if you do push and you do lose the traction, I mean, there's nothing worse than having not all your weight, but a good portion of your weight on that front tire. And then it gets, slides out from underneath you, and holy crap, if you're clipped in, it becomes pretty crazy. But yeah, if you want to get traction, that's how it's done. You got to get some weight on that front tire.
I think what's so hard about it is you have to do it consciously. You have to move forward towards the scary thing, and so I find like anytime I'm practicing something and I'm like having to do it consciously, it takes effort. It takes effort and it takes focus, and it's very easy to just go back to our default riding style. You have to practice it enough until that becomes safer, until that feels better, to the point where that's your default riding style.
Yeah.
And what's the key to that? Is that just practice, or is that something you could do to get more repetition on a pump track, or should we be doing that with cones in the driveway or a parking lot?
I mean,
what do you think?
I mean, if you have a pump track, that is the best. But unfortunately, we're not at that point yet where like everyone has a pump track close to them. Yeah, the best thing I don't think you need to go out and buy cones and set up cones, but like, just be aware of this while you're on the trail. One of the things that I love to use, and it sounds stupid, but like I love sound. I love the sound of when you're pumping a trail. You can actually hear it. It's like a woof, 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 and you can, and that sound of that traction, I'll use that. I'll use that as a rhythm. It's a song that I'm building in my head, and I'm just like, whoom,
oh, I love
whoom,
that. Yeah.
Boom, and you're bouncing from side to side. And listen, you don't need to have a turny trail to do this. I'll take a straight on trail and I'll work it from side to side, up and down, all different kinds of ways that you can just maximize flow on that trail and practice these skills so that when you do get to a point where, hey, this is getting a little bit crazy, you're ready. We talk about pumping the trail. Do that when it's not necessary so that when it is, it's there for you. That's the key.
Yeah, I've really noticed the bouncing on the trail that we've been talking about. I have to consciously think to do it, and it unlocks so much more confidence. Yeah. I'm just noticing it's unlocking fun, and when I forget to do it, I feel like I'm kind of like static. Like the other day, I screwed up a lift and I didn't get it, and the last few times I went into it, I did it really smoothly. This particular feature, and I think I was going in like bouncing a little bit.
Okay.
And, just kind of like getting a little bit looser, anyone that's ridden with me, like, or seen video of me, like I can get kind of static. I can get kind of stiff, and adding in that bouncing. We did a social ride at South Mountain.
Yeah.
And my buddy Thomas was on the ride, and he hadn't been riding for a little bit. And he was like, every time I've ridden with him, he says something along the lines of like, I'm just here. I'm just going to have fun. And he's a very bouncy rider. He grew up like BMX, like he's very skilled, like unbelievably good rider.
Yeah.
And so like I'm riding behind him, and I know this trail better than he does. I ride South Mountain way more than he does, but he's super fast, but he's just like bouncy and smooth, and he's like just having fun. That was what he described it as. And I realized like, yeah, let's just have fun. Let's get out of our heads and just have fun. And that bouncing like really adds a level of dynamicism.
Ooh.
Is that a word?
If it's not, it should be. Wow.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Yeah. That's that was interesting. And I did see that ride. And I watched a little bit of Thomas. Yeah, and Thomas he does. He likes to have fun on the trail, and it's very evident. And I could see you following some of his lines, and that's pretty inspiring too. That's a really fun way to ride, especially with that kind of a group. That's an all-star group.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. It was cool. All right, I got a custom tune on my suspension.
Yo.
It's called Ride Dialed. Yeah, it's called Ride Dialed. Tristan runs it, and he is he's a downhill racer.
Yeah,
very fast, very accomplished. Like there's medals and trophies all over the place. This guy is a suspension savant. Like,
yeah,
for as much as I don't know about suspension, he knows.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's the exact opposite of whatever I am.
Yes.
he will set up your suspension. He will also like, kind of like dial in the sag on the bike for you and talk about where you're riding, your riding style, and, bike fit. There's just so much. So for me, he changed out the dampers. He changed out the oil, but he did an upgraded oil that doesn't get hot. So the suspension on long descents, because he asked, like, do you do sustained long descents, or are you a guy who, rides for a minute or two and then like stops and takes a break? And I was like, no, I like to go down the whole thing,
Yeah.
And he said, do you get arm pump? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then he planted the seed that I'm getting arm pump because of my suspension. I was like, wait a second.
Okay.
Are you telling me that an upgrade of my suspension or dialing in the suspension I already have can eliminate or reduce arm pump? And he was like, yeah, you'd be pretty amazed.
Yeah.
So I did this 24th Street downhill. His shop is right near South Mountain. So I did this 24th Street downhill, and then I dropped the bike off. And the arm pump is intense. That 24th Street is super, super gnarly.
Yeah.
It's crazy gnarly. So he tunes up the fork, and dude, I was running like 73, 74 PSI in my fork, and I was using almost all of the travel. You can see the rubber band. I was using almost all the travel.
Right.
So he's doing all the math and all the calculations. He bumps me up to 90 PSI. Like I wasn't even in the ballpark, and I thought that bike rode awesome before.
Yeah.
On my coil, I had a 460 coil. He bumped me up to a 500 coil. My coil is adjustable, so that was easy,
Yeah.
So I've been riding it now after the tune, man, and it feels like a different bike. It feels like a better bike. I have to readjust to riding this thing, but it feels firm. It is composed. I'm hitting drops, and it is so much friendlier. It feels so much better. I didn't realize that I felt like I was kind of bottoming out before, and it's less pedal strikes because I'm riding a little bit higher in the travel. And I did that 24th Street downhill and some other downhills, and it is significantly less arm pump.
I'll be darned.
Here's the other thing, right? We talked about getting the shock or the fork serviced at 300 hours, right? You're actually supposed to do it at 50 hours. Just for like a basic service, there's like a 50-hour maintenance, and then there's the 300-hour maintenance, which is more intense.
Yeah.
And Tristan even says, like, it comes out of the factory. It's made by robots in the factory.
Right.
That first service, when a person actually gets in there and looks at it, like a lot of times something could be out of alignment or a seal's not quite done correctly. Like he actually recommends, this is his business and he's passionate about this, but he recommends like getting someone, your shop or someone, that does suspension service like this, getting human eyes and hands in there early when you buy a bike.
Yeah.
So, whatever that costs, a couple $100, I think it's really worth it to get your bike dialed in. Yeah. I think it's really worth it.
I do. We talk about bike fit, and that's another one of those things, it's like, oh, I don't want to spend the money. But like once you do, oh man, it
a
pays
great
off.
resource.
You don't think about it. You don't think about it. You got to think about a couple $100 when you're on the trail, and it's like golden. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm like doing a day of downhilling and I'm not getting arm pump, I'm not getting as fatigued, like take my money. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And we're buying these awesome bikes. We're paying for these awesome bikes. Like let's get them set up. It would be great. If I understood how these things worked and I could set it up myself and I could ride it and understand what's happening and then make adjustments, that's ideal. That's perfect. I'm just not that person. I know a lot of people listening are that person, and that's great. But use the resources that you have, and let's get these things riding as great as possible. And what I learned is just because the rubber band on the fork shows that it's 90% used, it doesn't mean that it's actually set up ideally for you.
Right.
He actually says that you shouldn't be using 90% every ride. That you want to save a decent amount for the bottom outs.
Yeah.
But there's so much. I've talked, and a lot of my friends know this. They'll talk of like the way that the fork ramps up in the beginning and it's less progressive here, and and all that kind of like. I had no idea what they're talking about. You know what I mean? I just want to ride my bike.
I know, dude. I know.
I'm a big dummy when it comes to that. So I got to pay someone. But if you're gonna, then he's someone like Tristan at Ride Dialed, and I know there's other places that do it, and maybe your shop's got a great, suspension guy or girl.
Yeah.
But yeah, my eyes were really opened up. I got way more than I expected working with him.
Yeah. Kudos, Tristan.
Yeah. All right. What do we want next? I think we have another time for another story.
Okay.
I can tell you that on that social ride, AJ brought his bag of Gummy twin snakes, and at the top of the climb, he was handing them out to everybody. He was like a drug dealer, and
I love it.
Everyone was just intent to distribute. It was so funny. He's handing them out to everyone. Everyone had a good laugh about it. One of them dropped in the dirt, and we were joking that because I refused.
Oh,
I refused. I was like, I'm not, you know how I am with what I eat. Like
I do.
I may not be I try to eat like as real food as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't eat the highly processed stuff. I'm just not interested in it, plus it would have broken my fast. I'm not breaking my fast for a gummy. Snakes.
Yes.
I wasn't hungry. I don't need it, But we were joking that everyone was going to continue the ride, and then I was going to go and get the one that fell in the dirt when no one saw, you know what I mean, and dust it off and secretly eat
it. Dirty snake. Yeah.
Go ahead, guys. Yeah. No, I don't want one. And then I'm sorting through the dirt to try to find it. No one will know. So that was pretty funny. Thank you, AJ. Hopefully he saved a couple for you. I know. And, oh boy, Thomas lit up. Thomas lit up when he saw those gummies. And he commented on the gummies. And he was like,
"Oh yeah,
you can tell the guys that have, a little gummy history. You guys get really excited."
Oh yeah, yep. AJ, I'm coming for it, man.
All right, so the next day that was Saturday. So then the next day, Vaughn has friends. I was told that Vaughn has friends coming in from out of town, and they're going to ride Halls. And I was like, great. I'm trying out the suspension.
Yeah.
And I can get a Halls ride and kind of feel, how the suspension feels there because I'm only riding South Mountain right now. So I thought, that's great. And I hear that the friends are coming in from Peoria. Where do you think that is? Peoria.
Peoria? What is that? Oregon? What is that? I have no idea.
Well, I thought it was Illinois.
Okay.
Peoria, Illinois. Right? So we set up a shuttle. And which is, we meet and then we're going to drive to one side of Halls. Halls is humongous. And so the guys like to set up a shuttle. So we set up a shuttle and I get in the car with the people from Peoria.
Yeah.
So they're talking like they're all, clearly, friends and everything. And I was just like, pretty cool that you guys came here from Illinois. What's it like there now? And they look at me like, what are you talking about? And I said, Peoria. And they're like, Peoria, Arizona. It's an hour from here.
Oh.
So for all the Arizona people listening who knew what the story was before I finished it, I'm just like a big dumb Northeast gringo. I had no idea.
Yeah, well,
and it goes to my map skills also. That
you know what? In your defense, when someone says from out of town, when you say out of town, you're thinking out of state, right? Not just literally the next town. I mean,
I thought it was cool. Like Vaughn's friends from Peoria, out of town, are coming to ride Halls. They're an hour away. That's not out of town.
Yeah,
they're locals.
Yeah, that's local.
What's so crazy is that everyone here lives within 20 or 30 minutes of trails. Not everyone, but you either live close to Halls or South Mountain. There's trail systems, there's mountains all over the place here. Whereas you and I in Pennsylvania, to get to Mount Penn, to get to our favorite place, routinely 50 or 60 minutes. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You guys are pretty lucky. And they're all awesome trails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do we want to talk about some of our ideas for the cross-country road trip title?
Yo, you had some really good ones, bud.
So, all right, well, let's start getting some votes. And this trip is unofficially scheduled. So, but we're feeling good about it. I really want it to happen. I think it would be so much fun. But we talked about it last week about I'm flying back to Pennsylvania for a family event, And then instead of you flying out here, we're going to rent a van and we're going to drive and we're going to hit all these great mountain bike spots on our way.
Yes.
So I thought your title that you came up with was GNAR, GNAR 2026. And that was the Great North American Road Trip, right?
Yes. Yes.
I love that.
Come on.
I love
yes.
it. The only thing is it's North American. It's not the whole continent. You know what I mean? Like it's not Canada and Mexico.
Oh,
that was my only, you know what I mean?
I was thinking we could continue to use GNAR, you know, like GNAR 2027 would be still in North America, but maybe we're going, you know, to a different. The point is it would be a North American road trip. The problem with my title is if we exit North America, then we can't use GNAR. It's got to be something else.
Yeah.
Right.
And we want to ride all over the world. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I love it. I mean, as far as acronyms go, like that's very good. That's very, very good.
Well, thank you.
All right. Couple other options. The Unlimited Stoke Tour.
Ooh.
I'm just going to read them.
Okay.
I'm just going to read them. You tell me, or you can respond after each one. Okay. The level of ooh will be indicative of how good it is.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay. Here we go. Unlimited Stoke Tour. Ride and Laugh Odyssey.
Okay. I feel oceany. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a play on, well, the Odyssey, right? The Iliad. The Iliad.
It's like that's literally the name of it.
This is not a literal podcast. This is a mountain bike podcast.
Yeah.
But, all right. Full Send Across America.
A little long, but I like it.
Yeah. And that's a play on Hands Across America. It just, but
I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it is or not. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be. The Stoke Coast to Coast.
I love that one, I think. Yeah. Okay. That's two in the books that I like.
I like the Coast to Coast. Yeah. And obviously Stoke. So, but because we are going East Coast to Southwest. Like it is quite a bit of driving. It is very, very far.
Yeah.
Limitless Lines 2026.
That's a tongue twister, but I like it.
Yeah. Okay. And the final one for now, Rolling Stoke 2026.
That might be my least favorite. What was the first one again? Okay. Unlimited Stoke something?
Unlimited Stoke Tour, Ride and Laugh Odyssey, Full Send Across America, the Stoke Coast to Coast, Limitless Lines 2026, Rolling Stoke 2026, GNAR 2026. I don't know.
The Coast to Coast.
Yeah, you like the Coast to Coast? Yeah, okay.
No. It has the same problem as the GNAR, and that is if we're not going coast to coast, we have to be able to use this on whatever road trip, you know, no matter where we're going.
Why? No, this is this trip. We can rename.
Oh,
we'll name that. We'll name the other trip something else. Don't make me speak in a falsetto. Don't make me go falsetto. Did you hear what I just had to do? Full Michael Jackson. Shamon.
Oh my! But listen, but wouldn't it be cool to be like, you know, like what if it was like Limitless Tour, you know, or something like that, you know? And it's like, where are we going this time, you know?
Oh, like it would be like Limitless Tour Europe edition or Limitless Tour South America,
you know, or something like that. Yeah. Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun naming each thing. You know what I mean? Like we can refer to different trips
true.
And
that's true.
You know,
I think we need
part two.
We need some feedback. We need some more ideas and feedback from our listeners. Let's yes, bring it.
Anyone sitting in their car right now or lifting weights or on a ride and, you know, inspired, give us a comment on YouTube or Ride and Laugh 1 at Gmail. And we will be talking about this more. We will be kind of cementing in our route, which I mentioned last week. And we'll be talking about that more and getting some feedback. We've already started to get some feedback. So really, really excited. That would be a lot of fun for sure. And holy content. I'm also kind of curious, you and I haven't talked about this, but what would people think if we did podcasts from the road, but the audio, because we won't have all of our equipment, the audio may not be quite as good and the production value might not be as good, but you would be getting Dan and Sage on the road talking about the trip, you know, like what's the balance there? You know, how would people feel about that?
Yeah. Would people want updates? You know, where we are, you know, that'd be kind of interesting too. Man, you know, it'd be really cool if we like live streamed, you know, our ride, but not like the whole thing, but
the
like
drive.
No, not the drive.
Oh,
like the 12-hour podcast category. Yeah.
Everybody, Sage is sleeping. I'm driving right now.
Let's listen to gratitude music.
Listening to some gratitude music, some corny gratitude music. Coming up with ideas for the next pod. Always thinking about the next pod.
I do believe that the GoPro and DJI also have like they have Wi-Fi. You can like stream live your ride.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know how cool that would be.
Maybe not.
I don't know. First of all, I mean the setup, like the technical part of it, like having like microphones that are good enough just to go live.
Yeah.
Do you mean like stopping in the middle of a ride and just being like, oh, like this is what's happening? And
yeah, the more the more I'm thinking about it, this is not a good idea.
I think I'm anti this idea. I'm very much a fan of the magic of editing. But again, if we did something, we're doing an update, it probably would be unedited. You know what I mean? Like we would record for 20 or 30 minutes, an update and, you know, some lessons that we're learning or something funny that happened. And it would be kind of lo-fi, you know, but it would be interesting. It would be content, I think. So no, I'm just curious.
I think that
we should let us know if that would be cool.
I think we should be doing that anyway. And we should also let our listeners know what our next stop is. Like, hey, we just came from here.
Yeah.
This was awesome.
True.
And now we're headed to blank, you know, and then that would give people a chance to like, you know, if they have suggestions on what trails to hit, or man, if they can get off of work and they want to join us, you know, who knows? Yeah. Sky's the limit here.
All right. Well, I still have everyone let us know, RideLife1@gmail, YouTube comments, and anything else, you know, and while you're at it, rate and subscribe, 5 stars, leave a review on Apple or anywhere else that you can leave reviews. And we've gotten some great reviews recently. I will read those as time permits. But yeah, thank you for everyone that has done that. And if you haven't done it and you're thinking about it, we certainly appreciate that. It really helps get the word out. Tell your friends about the podcast.
That's right.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I still have a lot more to talk about, but can't get it. I can't fit it all in, and we're going to have to save some of these gems that Rob Drew has told me about and taught me some really, really interesting things about bouncing on the trail and climbing and what gear to push and you know, power versus cadence, like some, you know, the guy's just a wealth of knowledge, and I've been starting to apply some of that to the riding. So I'll have more experience for when this conversation is able to be hashed out. But let us get into our mountain bike gratitudes.
Yes, mountain bike gratitude. Well, I will go first. My mountain bike gratitude actually is not my mountain bike. Ooh, it's my SKS Race Blade Fenders. Ooh, that is a mouthful. They go on my road bike. And now that the snow is thawing, listen, I you know, I don't ride in the rain, but I try not to get wet in general. And these Fenders have been an absolute lifesaver. I've been using them for, oh my gosh, I mean, probably like 10 to 12 years. Like these, they last, they're fantastic. And they just keep all the water from all the snow melt, any kind of rain that you might have had. It just keeps it from splashing up on you. Cause when you're road riding, it does get cold because your upper body's not moving very much. And yeah, I got a lot of love for these Fenders. If anybody else is interested, I'll leave a link to the ones that I'm using. I'd be also curious to see what other people are using, but man, these SKS Fenders have been a lifesaver, Danny.
You did a Trail Sage video review on these as well, right?
Long time ago. Yeah. That's how long I've been using them. Yeah. They're fantastic.
And it's just for gravel and road bikes. They don't make mountain bike ones.
They do make mountain bike ones. I don't use fenders on my mountain bikes. I don't even use a front fender. I noticed that you have a front fender on yours. Yeah. I don't even use any kind of a fender.
Mine came with a front. My Fox 4 came with a front fender. If there's one on there, it just came with it. You don't. Yeah. So did mine. You don't need it. I took it right off in Arizona. I always like the front fender. to prevent, especially when I was in the Northeast, especially on the fat bike, I always had a front fender on there to just keep it. Otherwise, the water and the snow and the ice and it could just fly up off that front wheel right up onto you.
I don't know, dude. My Stumpy came with a front fender as well, and it's like this long. Like that's if you think about where the dirt's coming from, like it's coming from the bottom of the tire and shooting up at you like at 45. Your fender would have to be so long to stop the debris. Yeah, I took mine off. I was like, this is doing nothing. Like I'm still getting splat in the face.
Interesting. I felt like on the fat bike, I mean, it was just like one of those cheap like plastic fenders that you would like zip tie on there. But I felt like that thing was pretty dirty at the end of the ride. And what the only thing that really bothered me was when water would come up underneath your sunglasses and hit you in the
worst. Eye. Yes.
Now it only happens when it's wet out. You know what I mean? Like I don't. Yeah. It's so frustrating. You got sunglasses on to protect your eyes, and it's literally shooting underneath the sunglasses.
No, the frustrating part is like finding a dry piece of your clothing that isn't covered in like wetness or sweat to like wipe the glasses. Yes.
Which is more important, the front fender or the back fender?
For mountain biking? No one rides a back fender in mountain biking.
No, for your road riding then.
Oh, man. I don't know. That's it. The thing is, the front's probably more important because at that speed, you really don't want crap hitting your eyes.
You will get it. You will get it in your face.
Yeah. But man, does your rear end get cold when it gets wet? That rooster spray coming off the back is legit, bro. Yes.
Yeah. Do you leave the fenders on year round, or do you only put them on for rainy rides? Are they?
Dude, that's the nice thing about these fenders. I guess I should have explained it a little bit more. I don't have pannier. Are they called pannier? The little bolts that are on the fork and on the frame? Are they pannier bolts?
I think so, but I don't know.
Who knows?
Sounds French.
Let us know. Yeah.
Who knows? I don't know. Speak of French. I told you when it comes to the suspension, even if it's just a rigid fork, I don't know what's going on there.
I knew better. I knew better. But I don't have any of those bolts to mount fenders. So the SKS uses like rubber. It like clamps to my fork and the frame, and then it clamps to the seat stays, but they're easily removable. So like I can just literally slap them on. Yeah. And they work for any bike. So no, I do not leave them on. I take them off.
Okay. All right. RideLife1@gmail, YouTube comments with any questions about these fenders. I don't know how many of our listeners are gravel and road riding. I see a lot, on Strava. I see if there's a few people that follow us, and I see a lot of trainer. The indoor trainer, I think, makes so much sense in a winter like this.
Yeah,
but it's nice to get outside for sure. And wherever you are, even if it's not winter, if you're into training on the road bike or on the gravel, it's nice to have fenders to be able to throw on there just because it's a little bit wet.
Exactly.
It's a pretty cool thing. Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right. Well, my mountain bike gratitude of the week goes back to the Halls ride.
Yes.
And we were riding down RMR and Red Mountain Rush, and I was just like not feeling fast, and I was just taking my time. It's like, okay, like I just, for whatever reason, I was just kind of like working my way down, and we stopped at several different points because it was on this group ride. Normally the guys they'll just shoot all the way down to the bottom and I'll see you down there. Right. But we stopped at several different points, and we get maybe halfway, 3/4 of the way down, and Jeff Windsor's on this ride. And I don't ride with him very often at Halls, but he sees me like kind of like, he sees how far back I am. Yeah. And he's just like, he's like, what's going on, Dan? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just not feeling it right now. I'm just taking my time. He says, let me ride behind you. I was like, are you sure? I don't want to slow you up. You know what I mean? Like I did the whole, I don't know, and he was like, no, let me just see what's going on. Like, let me just see if I can help you out. And so I acquiesce and we start riding. And because he's back there, like I'm really like trying to focus on getting my hips around, and I start to feel a little bit better. And he's like coaching me from behind and giving me all these great tips.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, you're really squeezing your knees on the seat post. He said, start pointing your knees where you need to go and loosen up.
Yeah.
And so just the act of doing that like starts to loosen me up. I start to get a little bit more bite into the corners, a little bit more flow. And it was just like really cool of him to say, let me see how I can help. There was like no question about it. He was like, and of course I would do the same for a friend, and I certainly would do the same for your kids. You know what I mean? Like, let me see how I can help. But it was just really cool, and I really appreciated it. And I started to ride better, and I started to feel better. And I took that tip about like widening my knees a little bit, and I took that to my next ride. And it's like, yeah, this is helping me loosen up a little bit. So,
Mr. Windsor.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, you are a clincher, my friend. You are a clincher. And
I know. Yeah. I'm making diamonds. I'm making diamonds. Yeah. Yes. We all that has been established on this episodes. Yeah, I do. I get and I think that clenching of the seat post, which comes from riding pre-dropper post, where you that was the way you held onto the bike because the seat was up.
Yeah,
I think
a couple notes here, because
okay. All right.
I as well have ridden behind you quite often because I'm usually running the camera. You tend to like leave your post up more than most. One,
yeah,
and two, man, there's nothing wrong with actually pinching or clenching. It's more about like, let's sway it. Like you don't have to like open up your legs, but like, man, think about how tall you are, and being able to just shift your weight, even if it's just your legs, is going to have a profound effect on the bike. And it could be bad, right? If you shift your weight at the wrong moments, right, it's going to knock your equilibrium off. But man, if you got that timing right and you started getting those hips around, you start swinging your knees around, holy crap, dude. Amazing things.
It's interesting that you say that because when I was talking to Tristan is a tall, lanky guy. We're very similar height and build.
Yeah.
And he was saying, like shorter riders have less leeway. They feel it more.
I think you said it backwards, but yes, the point is correct. Like we can get away with a lot more because the center of gravity is much lower to the ground, whereas you're much taller. So the movements that you make have a bigger effect on the bike.
Right. But I also have more because I have long limbs. I have more built-in suspension. I can probably be even more dynamic on the bike. I can move around more.
Ooh, that's
I'm probably ruining
question.
His point. Maybe I'm ruining his point.
The thing is, like you're taller, but the bike's bigger, right? So it's funny because we're talking about proportions at the beginning of this podcast, but the proportions are the same. Right? Like you're taller, but your bike is also bigger. So your bars are longer, the frame is stretched out. So proportionally, it should be the same. The thing that's going to be different is the weight. Like your weight is going to be much more greater, going into a turn or when you're pumping a trail, like you're moving a lot more mass. And the fact that you're more lanky, you can use that to your advantage. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe I'm way off here.
He's a tall guy, and I don't know if he was just like pumping me up and saying like, "Hey, like this is for you. This is going to work for you. Like I'm tall, and I'm fast. You know what I mean? Like he don't want to hear any anti length type talk. Like you're tall. You can be fast. I'm proof.
Yeah. We know a lot of tall, fast riders. Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes, for sure, including. Well, I was going to say, including Zan, Sploosh MTB, who we were just talking about. And,
Zan's a great
Benoit,
example.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That dude's all kinds of loose. Certainly. Yeah.
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 Yeah, for sure. Mountain bike tip of the week.
Hey.
I would say like just kind of rolls right into this gratitude is open to receive. Let your friends help you.
Yeah.
Have a friend ride behind you and say, or if a friend offers, allow it. But hey, what are you noticing? Let's help each other out, and I think that's awesome. Like if you have friends that you trust that are good riders, or even someone like, I could say someone like, I'm not saying that I'm not a good rider, but like technically I could look at your riding because I know what to do. I don't necessarily always do it, but sometimes we can look at, like it's easy to see it in someone else.
Right.
So whether you say to a friend, ride behind me and let me know what you're seeing, or take a video. We've talked about this one before, this tip, but like, let's see what it looks like, what open to receive help, and, I certainly could have said to Jeff, like, no, dude, go in front of me. I don't want to ruin your ride, and just like, shut that down. But okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. And, and let's, everything's happening for us. So.
Yeah. I think who it is, also, and where you're at also plays a big difference. Like the fact that you knew Jeff, and frankly, Jeff is like an amazing rider, but the fact that you knew Jeff and you already know this trail, there's less pressure. I would not use that mountain bike tip if you're riding with a new group, or someone that you don't know as well. Then you could add pressure to your ride in a negative way. Like, oh, I don't want to hold this person up. You know what I mean? And that's not a good way to ride.
Afterwards, if someone's behind you, what if afterwards you just ask, did you notice anything? Is that weird?
No.
Like, would you have any tips for me?
All
right.
Well, you're on the clock. Think of,
Any free advice?
No,
soliciting advice.
I think if you have a specific question, I think that would be really helpful. Just saying like, did you notice anything would not be, but yes, make sure that you're doing it with the right people. And it's people that you trust. You don't want to add pressure to yourself. Like I've ridden like that. I've felt pressure. Yeah. So know thyself.
Well, one of Vaughn's friends, Cam, was on this ride, and we didn't, we did the climb up Alp, and which is the climbing trail at Halls, and then we started going down Red Mountain Rush, and there wasn't really like any concept of like who was faster than who.
Right.
But Cam like lives like 5 or 6 minutes away from Halls, so I'm like picking my way down, and I hear tires right behind me.
Oh yeah.
And so, like I'm trying to go a little bit faster. The tires are still right behind me. And now I'm looking for a place to pull over, And as soon as I pulled over, he was like, thanks, and gone,
He said, thanks.
and he was railing corners and steezing jumps. And, and later on, like I knew the order, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't on the climbs, I'm fast. But on the downhills, like, get out of the way. This dude definitely knows what he's doing. He knows those trails really well. And I had the pleasure of following him for a lap and then following Vaughn for a lap down Big Sister. And they had those new tabletop jumps. And that trail is just so much fun.
Ooh.
And Dustin was on that ride. It was fun. I think Vaughn had a whole nother group of mountain bike friends that I didn't even know about. This guy, he's friends with everybody.
Yeah.
He's the mayor of Hall. He really is. Everyone loves Vaughn. He's a great guy.
Do you have a algorithm or an equation that you follow for how close you follow somebody?
I mean, I think if you get up the climb and then and someone is in front of you, like Cam following me, right? I think that like kind of tailgating me to let me know, hey, if you want to like move over so I can pass you, that would be cool. I think that's fine. If it's someone who's like clearly a beginner or nervous, or it's their firfirst time on the trail and you could tell, then tailgating, you just gotta leave your distance.
Tire. Yeah.
You could cause someone to get in their head. I mean, I felt it. You know what I mean? Like I felt I was trying to go faster. I felt the pressure of someone behind me. So that's why I moved over. And I don't think that's wrong. Like, I want him to enjoy the downhill. I don't want him to have to go my speed if I'm not going as fast.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
That's a really interesting question, though. Like, how to communicate? Like, I need to go in front of you, and how to feel about that when you're the person in front. That's a really interesting conversation.
Yeah. The other thing is like with those jumps too. Now, like you need speed. Like you don't want to get stuck behind someone that's not clearing the jumps or isn't doing
right.
Yeah. So,
sometimes if you're behind someone and passing them doesn't seem appropriate, and I know you've done this before, you slow down. You slow down, you give them space, especially if you know the trail. Okay, I'm going to slow down here, and then I'm going to be able to get on it, and hit these jumps at the speed I want to. And
that is a great technique. Yeah. I'll usually holler back like, yo, I'm gonna hold up for a little bit, or let's give this guy some space, or let's give this girl some space, and yep. That's great.
We did 2 laps on that Big Sister trail and the first lap, I think Cam was in front of me, but the other guys, there was like 3 people in front of us from our group.
Yeah.
And so we're like flying down the trail, and then all of a sudden we see them all like waiting by the side of the trail.
Oh no.
And, we like barely slow down, and I yelled up to Cam. I was like, what was that about? And he was like, I think they stopped because there was someone slow. There was someone not from our group who was slowly going down the trail, and they were going to mess up the speed for the jumps. And of course we caught them. Cam and I caught them. And so then we pulled over, and then everyone else passed us, and then we got on the pedals, and we actually ended up being able to hit it all. But, like sometimes that just happens. We just caught someone who wasn't in our group, who was going, much slower than we wanted to go. Yeah. And that was just complete stop. Just come to a complete stop and wait 3 or 4 minutes and then get back on it.
Yep. Yeah.
Bonus tip. Everyone's like, yeah, we know. We know to stop and let someone that's slower go in front. That's not a tip. I mean, it's a tip, but it's not a good one. Yeah. All right. Well, you got it anyway. In case you didn't know, if you can stop and let people get further ahead of you. Yes. Yeah. It's a very nice thing to do. Instead of
in case you didn't know. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're still listening, you are definitely one of us. You're a mountain biker. We appreciate it. Rate and subscribe. Ride and Laugh 1 at Gmail, YouTube comments, leave us a review, tell your friends, leave a super thanks if you're so inclined. And we're excited to hear all of your comments about this podcast and title recommendations, whatever you got. We're here for it. We always respond. We do our best to always respond. So just thank you so much. We love doing this podcast, and we're so happy that you are listening. Everyone have a great week and a great week of riding. Ride and laugh.
I'll see you, everyone.